that is my favourite solo. In my opinion, like, of course it changes. Anyone who can actually pick their favourite song or their favourite band, it can sometimes change when you learn something new. But this one has put such a smile on my face over the last, coming up to 20 years now. It's 2003 when this came out. And The Darkness were the biggest band in the world, or at least in the UK, I guess, biggest band in Britain, when I turned 16 in 2003, or the year I was 16. And it's a fantastic one to learn. I always played it a little bit wrong as well, so I did subscribe to Justin Hawkins on Patreon, and it's a fantastic Patreon, to be honest. He's done all the hits and loads of deep cuts that have been really revelationary to me to dig into what it is to make his playing style his, you know, the unique cocktail that is Justin Hawkins. And of course we're starting off, if you've looked at this solo before, the first half is pretty much blues scale. Like, it's exactly the blues scale. There's not one note outside of the blues scale for that whole thing. And then we have this pattern going on from there. Couple of tricks. Doing this at the end, and also a pinched harmonic at the end there, which is super audible on the original recording. So that is what I'm going to be talking you through. I've done all the rhythm parts, all of Dan's sections basically, in a separate video. Here we're just looking at that solo, but also that one, which again, he plays totally different to how I always played it. I always played it here, which isn't where he plays it. So Justin Hawkins is basing that first lead break after the first solo around a D-shape arpeggio of an E major chord. Key of the song's E. So here's solo 1. That is a whole step bend up of fret 16 to 17. With the third finger. Support the middle finger bend with your first finger. So they're pushing up like that, but of course bending technique like this. And then the first finger going down our D shape of an E major chord, but kind of D, that's the major third, pushing it up 1 fret, which would be the major 4th. 1, 3, and 4 intervals wise. This is still a D, and that actually uses a D kind of as a C cage shape, which is not the way that Justin Hawkins taught it on his Patreon, but that's the way that my guitar teachery brain sort of thinks about this stuff. Some people might find that useful. You could... How did he play it? I think he played it something like skipped with his third finger, something like that. But I would do. Ending, of course, just with an E bend, which is exactly how the main, or the solo 3 starts. Solo 2 is played by Dan, so it's played in the rhythm video. That's the start. So solo 3 starts with a bend up, bend down, and then bend up again of the 15th fret, which is a D note, but bending up to an E note. I'm linking to interactive tab in the description on YouTube and in the orange button on the website. It's sort of top left. Top left? I can't even think. Anyway. And then this rundown, which I played wrong for years. I can confirm it is... pure blues scale, walking down the blues scale from the E note until the blues note, the note that's added to make the minor pentatonic the blues scale. Back 1. So it's like 4 notes and then another 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. To play that fast, I personally play it with hammer-ons and flick-offs. Pick, hammer-on, flick-off to the first finger, hammer-on. Pick the first of the next 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Justin wasn't super clear when I watched the video, like, of what he picks and what he doesn't pick, but I think pretty sure he uses legato, at least live. That's how you can play it that fast, much easier than... Like, you can pick every note, but... I can't play it as fast as I can just legato it. So pick, pick. Listen to the difference, you know, playing it clean. So I've got my Plexi amp here, but then a Marshall Drive Master to make it sound all 80s and overdriven. That's a Hendrix Bend to finish that lick. Straight out of Purple Haze. No, we'll get to Squealies in a second. There isn't a squealie there. And then we get to the bit that everyone loves. It's the middle one that's got the squealie. It's always really hard to get the squealie on the middle one. You'll probably get it on one of the others. Let me try. That squealie didn't sound right. Hang on, let me try a couple of times. It's really hard to just get it on the middle one. There we go. It's right there. And of course that squealie is done by the thumb being very close to the end of the pick. Super close. And where you hit it on the string does make a difference to the squealie. So actually, it wants to be there. Pick it about here. And we finish. Okay, so have fun with some squealies there. It's really fun. You can do these notes just with pick, flick off, hammer on, pick, pick, flick off, hammer on. Now, importantly, run down the blues scale again. It's just the blues scale. I only pick the first note. Then, importantly, and with some overdrive on it, he very much emphasised the importance of wow, wow. And I've heard a lot of that in other Justin Hawkins solos since I've been learning loads of Darkness solos. Wow, wow. He wants a real... And that takes us through all that first section. And I'm picking further back, I'm getting squealies everywhere. So 80s. Playing that too fast and making mistakes. But that's the gist of it. One last time, slower, so you can just see every note as I would play it. That's the first section. If you want to know any more about how Justin plays it, subscribe to his Patreon, because that's what I did. Here we go. Here's the iconic section. All right. So this is a combo of a pick, hammer on, flick off. It changes slightly as we go up, but you need to do this first of all. Really highly recommend doing that, just playing an E major scale, all on string 1. Pick, hammer, flick, and then just using all the notes that are the E major scale. Try and do it loosey-goosey as well, you know, even if you start making some mistakes. Be loose, otherwise you'll never get it fast. So while you're doing it slow, I very much anchor my thumb over this, so, you know, everything that I do when I'm doing string bending, that should get you that far as soon as you get in that cycle. If you're picking every note, it's just not how it's played. This is how I play it. Again, there's Justin plays everything differently when he plays it live and on the recording. After that, once we go back on ourselves, when we go back to the 7th fret, here I would default to just doing hammer-ons. I mean, obviously must be inspired by, you know, a bit of Thunderstruck, a bit of Angus Young here. Super inspired by Angus Young. It's his, AC/DC's his favourite band. Once we get up to the 17th fret, we go back to how we started. And then a 22nd fret bend up to the pitch of 24, so a D to an E, which is the equivalent of that. So we're kind of finishing how he started. But do it over. When I do that, I just grab it and just pull it all the way up, and once you've done it a few times, you kind of get used to it. But proper string bending technique would be that. Especially when you got these double cutaways, these do make it easier. It's probably easier to play it on this guitar than a Les Paul. I'm just using it because Justin uses a 3/5 style guitar all the time in his Patreon tutorials, and this just looks a bit Hawkinsy, doesn't it? It looks a bit like his white Les Paul, but it means you can tell I'm doing Justin's parts rather than Dan's. So that's the full solo. Let me do a recap. And then that riff repeats, and on the recording he does that kind of thing. The last one is a 4th fret pinched harmonic, which is really hard to do and not have other strings ringing out, but let me try. It is. Alright, so the trick with this one is there's a repeating pattern, which is just that. 1, pick, hammer on, flick off. Starting off in E minor pentatonic shape 1, and then just move everything down 1 fret. Now rather than picking the first note, you can just slide down. And keep going. Keep your other hand there. Otherwise, as you move down, you will start to get the other strings ringing out. So even though you could do it like this, you might, especially when you're learning, you'll get thicker strings ringing out. So keep your thicker strings muted. That is how to play my favourite solo. As I said, the tab is in the description below. Let me know what your favourite solos are. I might even cover some of them. I hope you've liked this more off-the-cuff style of tutorial, but I feel it's the only way that I can really teach these solos. keep them engaging, keep them interesting, and tell you what I love about them. And I'd love to hear what you love about your favourite solos in the comments on YouTube below. I'll leave some other recommended tutorials on the screen now for you to watch at your leisure.